Good morning, powerful people. Happy Sunday morning to my family, my spiritual home. Listen, you guys, I am here in beautiful Roanoke, Virginia. I haven't forgotten you. My heart is there with you, and I'm here with you right now. We're going to jump right into Declaration of Principle number 3. This is part of my sermon series on our 9 Declaration of Principles. And I want to just talk a little bit about that principle. So as Tony or Reverend Tim did earlier for you, we talked about Declaration of Principle number 3, which said we affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute a true religion, right? Now, all of existence, physical and spiritual nature, is God in expression. And we are very powerful, energetic beings of consciousness. We are electromagnetic beings. And our energy fields create these fields of reality and universes all around us. And we are ruled by many universal laws. And I'm just curious if you all wouldn't mind just raising your hands for me. How many of you have actually a good solid understanding, I would say, of the all of nature or the universe as it is God in expression? So raise your hands if you feel you have a good understanding of what God is in the form of all of nature, the universe as God in expression. Very good. See, you now know that this information is true because why? Because you regularly attend the Metaphysical Chapel every Sunday, right? Well, we do our best, but we'd certainly love when you do come every Sunday. And when you come, you learn these truths and you begin to apply these truths into your lives, just like I did about probably 12 years ago now when I started attending the Metaphysical Chapel down in Hollywood, really Dania Beach, Florida, whenever I found it. You see, I aligned myself with the core truths of the Metaphysical Chapel. And when we all do that, what does it do? Well, it helps us navigate this life is what it does. And when we make the effort to come to church regularly, for example, or to increase our knowledge by taking the metaphysical classes we offer, when we begin to heal our spirit by sitting and joining with the spiritual healers on Sunday mornings at the healing chairs, we begin to co-create a community that exists nowhere else in South Florida. Amen? Amen. Now, when we take spiritual action in life, which really just means, I would say really just means putting our oars in the water. How does that sound? Putting our oars in the water. And that's when we do that, we're beginning to live in accordance with, we are aligning ourselves with universal laws, right? And so that constitutes a true religion. Make sense? Good. So we have 3 spiritual laws that I want to talk about today. And those 3 spiritual laws are, well, let's just say they have a physical and they have a spiritual aspect to them. The law of attraction, let's talk about that. Everybody loves the law of attraction. And in the law of attraction, it basically says we attract to us what we give out into this universe. That's very important because if we're giving out kindness, what do you think we expect to receive? Kindness. We find kindness everywhere. Let's talk about a second law, which I love, the law of oneness. Okay, that's one that's actually not spoken of very often, but when we talk about it, it's as though we are one with all parts of this universe. When I travel, say, to Asian countries, Hong Kong, Philippines, Thailand, for instance, you'll often hear the word namaste. Even in India, of course, they say namaste there. What are they saying? They are saying, in that moment, the divine light within me recognizes the divine light within you. And if we truly understood the law of oneness, where we are literally one with everything in existence, the beautiful locusts that are around me chirping and chiming right now, the trees that are around me, the air that's blowing across my skin, the butterflies in the grass all around me, I wish you could see them. But we are one, literally the one living divine force with all parts of this universe. And if we understood that we are all one in expression, God in expression, this one law would literally stop all wars instantly. Because we would realize we are terminating, if that's a proper word, exterminating, we are extinguishing, I like that better, extinguishing the light of God, trying to express into the physical third dimension. Can you imagine if we could teach our soldiers and our generals and our pilots and the Army tank engineers, if we could just teach them that extinguishing the light of God's presence doesn't help the planet, but sets it back vibrationally, we could literally stop wars. And so, lastly, I want to talk about the law of action. Now, this is really about inspired action. It's about obedience to all laws, really. And we can't just sit on our mushroom waiting for the universe to drop blessings into our lap. We actually have to take physical steps with our spiritual choices and put those into action, right? Now, speaking of the law of attraction, several years ago, I began to be inspired to serve spirit. 100%. I was being obedient to the laws. I was aligned to the universal truth. What I was giving the universe was giving back to me tremendously, preparing me literally for a 7-foot tall blessing, a tenfold return of gorgeousness and handsomeness in the form of Reverend Tim Jack. He literally was the answer to my prayers. And Reverend Tim, hey, put that phone down. Remember how we met? You want to say anything? I didn't think so. But what I will tell you is Reverend Tim was a patient of mine. And Reverend Tim was a wonderful patient. But what's interesting, two things that reminded me to include the story in the sermon was the energy that he put off when he spoke. He had the most beautiful voice. I could tell he'd been on TV or radio or something, so that caught my attention. He was this enormous ball of sunshine in a bed, 6'10" or whatever he is, hanging off the edge of the bed. It was so funny. He was bigger than our stretchers. But he had this amazing energy that was just infectious. And I recognized that energy because it was metaphysical. And so I remember asking him that day I said, you've got the most beautiful voice, and are you on radio or are you on TV? He said, no, I'm actually the director of music programs at Unity, a Unity church. And I said, I know Unity. I said, we're metaphysicians. And he recognized us very quickly. And he said, and we both decided, let's go have coffee. And that's how that moment of attraction began between us. And so we went and had coffee. And really, that began the journey of what we have today and the beautiful blessing of Reverend Tim in the church ministry with us. What was interesting was that I was preparing myself spiritually, and I was asking Spirit to bring me a mentor, to bring me a colleague, to bring me someone who could help us grow our metaphysical ministry. And so that was aligning myself to universal truth. And in that moment, I was actually setting up the law of attraction vibration in my life, you see? So when I begin to affirm it, pray for it, believe that it's coming to me, it will come to you. And so the law of oneness is the moment when I listened to Reverend Tim's beautiful voice, and when I saw that beautiful spirit and that beautiful face laying in there in bed, just a ball of sunshine and happiness, the kindest soul that I hadn't seen in a long time in the hospital, I recognized the divinity in the light of his spirit. It was the same as what was in myself and all my friends at the Metaphysical Chapel. What was that? That's the law of oneness, recognizing divinity in someone else. And so what did we do? Well, we stepped into the law of action. Reverend Tim recognized that he was being guided by Spirit to serve the Metaphysical Chapel. So he called us. He took spiritual action, right? And when he did that, he actually picked up the phone and he texted me. And he said, Reverend Kevin, I want to let you know that the universe has informed me that I am now available to serve your community in whatever way that might be. And I am not kidding, not 20 hours before, I and the board had unanimously voted to begin looking and recruiting and interviewing, metaphysical directors to run our music ministry. And it had taken almost a full year for us to get to a point where we could even vote on the topic. It was just too much for us to handle. It was really not in our vision vibration. It wasn't in our spirit vibrationally, right? So we were not fully engaged in music ministry at the time. And Reverend Tim alerted us he was available. So what he did was he stepped into the law of action, like I just said. And so he took action. He called us. And that was a spiritual action. You know, I'm very proud to say that the power that was created from those initial encounters with Reverend Tim has created a beautiful friendship. And Reverend Tim has my heart. He's my right-hand man. He's my co-pastor. He's my mentor. He's my friend. He's just my blessing. How about I say that? And I think we make a pretty dynamic spiritual team. Do you guys agree? Can I get an amen from you guys? And guess what? You guys get to benefit every single Sunday because we, Reverend Tim and I, created this Sunday experience for every single one of you. We love you so much. Now, question for you guys. I want you to raise your hands. How many of you guys recall when you met someone in your life that you recognized the light or even the soul vibration to be the same as yours? That's the namaste moment, remember? Recognizing the divinity within someone else that should be in your sphere of metaphysical influence, right? So, good. If you wish to have a better life, I'll say this. You got to get in alignment with universal laws, okay? There are plenty of books out there on Amazon Prime, and look up the universal laws, the 12 universal laws it is, okay? And what we have to do is once we begin to read them, once we begin to understand them and incorporate them into our knowledge, we have to obey them. We have to embrace them. And we've got to take spiritual action. We've got to actually begin the process. If we're going to spiritualize ourselves, then we need to begin coming to church regularly, which really just means bringing the light of my truth, bringing the energy of who I am into a space so that all of the first-time guests who are here today and every Sunday, that they can benefit from the light and the love and the blessing that we are and that we have become. They can begin to benefit from that. We can begin to share our truths with other people, strangers we meet on the road or when we're doing various things in life. We can invite new people to the church. We can basically embody the universal laws. We can live them. We've got to begin transforming our lives to a state of greatness by embodying those. And everyone here today, I'll tell you what you did do. You guys navigated here in your little body boats seeking a transformation. First-time guests, I want to say to you, welcome today. I wish I could be there to greet you in person, but I look forward to seeing you next Sunday when I will be back. We're going to be covering Declaration of Principle number 3, talking about spiritual personal responsibility, a beautiful principle. But I want to say this. We have all these first-time guests here today. These are people who, like myself and like many of yourselves, you guys came into this community seeking many different things. You came seeking a new community. You came seeking a healing of your spirit. You came seeking a transformation. I like that word better. Let's say that. You came seeking a healing to transform your lives. You came here seeking a new community. Why? To transform your lives. You came here seeking powerful spiritual truths. Why? To transform your lives. Now, I will have to admit, I don't think you have to be psychic to know this one, but some people come here just for Miss Jerry's great pastries and coffee to experience a transformation of a different kind. It might have something to do with our waistline, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll tell you this, folks, great leaders, and this is something I've had to learn myself as I moved into the leadership position for the Metaphysical Chapel. Great leaders are the wind of personal responsibility. It's all about when I step into leadership mode, when I stand up here and record myself and speak on stages and do demonstrations of connecting with spirit, I am trying to inspire alignment with the laws of the universe, with our teachings metaphysically. And so when we begin to understand ourselves as conscious energy, and I'm not talking about our physical bodies, but living in alignment with these universal laws, then, friends, we actually begin to embody a true religion in life. And that's what's so powerful about all of this. So in that regard, I would say to you, let's take a break real quick. I want to share with you a powerful video. Glenn, if you would pause that video, pause this video for me and come back to me when you have finished the Declaration of Principles number 3 video. Wow, wasn't that a wonderful video? That's one of my absolute favorite declaration of principles. Listen, if you guys would like to see any of our videos that we have put up, very inspired videos on our declaration of principles, I've taken the liberty and the time to step into my spiritual action, right? Aligning with my spiritual truth and actually performing a spiritual action for you guys that benefits you guys. You can go to the Metaphysical Chapel's Facebook timeline. I want you to find a tab on there that says videos. Click on that tab. And in the video section is a folder, or an album, actually, I guess we call it. And that album is called Declarations of Principles. When you click on that album, it will open up many videos and you will scroll down till you'll find Declaration of Principle number 3 for today. And you can watch this video again. You can watch all the other videos that are there. I encourage you to do that. And folks, I think the last thing that I would like to bring forward to you has to do with the symbol of light that seems so strong around me in this moment as I sit out here in nature in beautiful Roanoke, Virginia, on the campus of the United Metaphysical Churches. Folks, don't let anybody diminish your light, because no one can keep you from your destiny but yourself. When it's time to shine, I want you to be your brightest. I want you to navigate your light out into this community today, tomorrow, the rest of this week, until I see you next Sunday. I want you to share our metaphysical truths with other people. Do you promise to do that? I hope so, because when we begin to become personally responsible for creating a space that transforms lives to greatness, folks, now that's when we start living a true universal religion. Amen? Amen. I love it. Listen, repeat after me. You know I love my affirmations. Repeat after me. I am oneness in all things. I am universal law in action. I am God's light that parts the darkness. Amen. Hey, and hey, women. All right. Turn around and say to your neighbor, if you would, for me, please, right now, the divine light within me recognizes the divine light within you. Beautiful. Friends, if you receive this message in your spirit today, please rise and let me hear you. Reverend Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you. Much love, buddy.